members of his household. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. As per usual, we'll begin the program by reciting the Holy Quran. Please help me welcome Brother Muhammad Bakr to the podium. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
عطروا أفواهكم بذكر الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر هل في ذلك قسم لذي حجر ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بعاد إرم ذات العماد التي لم يخلق مثلها في البلاد وثمود الذين جابوا الصخر بالواد وفرعون ذي الأوتاد الذين طغوا في البلاد فأكثروا فيها الفساد فصب عليهم ربك صوت عذاب إن ربك لبالمرصاد فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأكرمه ونعمه فيقول ربي أكرمن وأما إذا ما ابتلاه فقدر عليه رزقه فيقول ربي أهانن كلا بل لا تكرمون اليتيم ولا تحاضون على طعام المسكين وتأكلون التراث أكلا لما وتحبون المال حبا جما كلا إذا دكت الأرض دكا دكا وجاء ربك والملك صفا صفا وجيء يومئذ بجهنم يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان وأنى له الذكرى يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد ولا يوثق وثاقه أحد يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
MashaAllah, Ahsant. Tonight, we do not just remember, we relive. We stand in the shadow of a land where water was forbidden, but blood was spilled without measure, where truth stood barefoot, hungry, thirsty, and surrounded, and falsehood came dressed in armor and in numbers. By the time the sun had set on Karbala, Hussein had nothing left but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that was enough. This is not history we mourn, it is a mirror that asks us, quietly but fiercely, where would you have stood and where do you stand now? Now we'll have Sheikh Shafeeq Huda to the stage. Please your loudest salawat to help welcome him. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salli ala
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين خالق السماوات والأرض، إلها واحدا أحدا صمدا لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين رحمة للعالمين طه وياسين بالقاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين، ورحمة الله على محبيهم ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وقاتليهم وغاصب حقوق حقهم ومنكر فضائلهم أجمعين من يومنا هذا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتبارك في كتابه الحكيم وفرقانه المجيد وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة في القربى. صلوات على محمد وعلى محمد. Respected sisters and brothers, my youngsters, my elders, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بالحسين عليه السلام. As we gather today to mourn Abu Abdullah, the day and the night preceding his Shahada is a day of grief, not only for the Shia, not only for the Muslims, not only for the believers, but it has been narrated that Imam Sahib al-Amr himself is in a state of mourning today. Every Imam, from Amir al-Mu'mineen to Imam al-Hujjah, are in mourning. Every Prophet, from Adam to Khatam, are in a state of mourning. And we can say that even the Malaika and the heavens themselves are in a state of distraught to commemorate the martyrdom of Abu Abdullah. We have no words to extend to Hazrat Fatima Zahra to console her on the shahadat of her dear and beloved Hussein. When Imam Hussein was born, and the Imam being born was supposed to be a happy time, and she saw the Prophet with tears in his eyes, she says, Ya Rasulullah, oh my father, why are you crying? It's a happy time. It's a blessed time. Somebody is born in our family, Hussein, the younger, because Hassan was the eldest one, Imam Hussein was the younger one. He is born, it's a time of happiness. Then the Prophet narrates to her what will happen in Karbala. The Prophet tells her what will transpire on the day of Ashura. And Fatima alayhi salam, peace be upon her, is in a state of great tribulation and tears and mourning. And in the course of the mourning, she asks her father, she says, Ya Rasulullah, will you be there when Hussein is martyred? The Prophet says, no, I will not be there. She says, will Ali be there? The Prophet replies, Ali won't be there. Will I be there? She asks. The Prophet looks at her and says, no, you will be the first one to join me. You will not be there when Hussein gets martyred. She is now more distraught. She says, will Hassan be there? The Prophet says, no, Hassan will not be there. And her next question is what brings tears to our eyes. She says, Ya Rasulullah, oh my father, then who will be there to mourn for my Hussein? Who will be there to cry for my Hussein? And the Prophet consoles her in a very strong way. He says, Fatima, Allah Jalla Jalaluhu will create a community whose children will mourn for the children of Hussein, whose elders will mourn for the elders of Hussein, whose ladies will mourn for the ladies of Hussein, and whose families will mourn for the family of Hussein. Allah Ta'ala will create a community of believers whose eyes will not dry up remembering Hussein. And at that time, Fatima Zahra alayhi salam says, if that is the community that will mourn for my Hussein, then it is my promise that I will not go into paradise until they have all entered as well. Until they have entered as well. That was the promise she had made to the Holy Prophet of Islam. What a calamity we are marking. The ayah of the Quran that I have selected at the beginning of every majlis. And I had promised you yesterday that I'll give you a little bit of an overview as to why I had selected it and what it is relevant for our purposes in these last 9, including today, 10 nights, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala narrates this as an answer. Whenever you find an ayat of the Holy Quran that starts with Qul, Qaf, Lam, it is basically a response that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving in reply to a question that has been asked of the Holy Prophet. Or some people have asked from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's why when you look at the suwar of the Quran, the surahs of the Holy Quran that start with Qul, Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun, Qul huwallahu ahad, Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas. All of these Qul suwar and the ayats in the Holy Quran that start with Qaf, Lam, it is basically a reply that Allah Jalla Jalaluhu is giving to the people. Something has been asked and the Prophet on behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is replying to them. If you understand that, because in tonight's discussion, and I want to also take a moment tonight to appreciate and acknowledge all of you for your participation, for the organizers, for those who had invited me from the executive, the committee of Masjid Imam Ali, Haj Yusuf, who has been in touch with me on a regular basis, making sure that I come, inshallah, to be on time. Haj Ahmad, who has been so gracious in making sure that whatever azadari we want to mention and keep, inshallah, that I had that list. And, brother Haj Radwan, who was at the time of Dhuhr and Asr's time, and various other volunteers, helpers, servants, our MC, Brother Muhammad, and all the youngsters who so lovingly say salam to me, greet me, and also bid me farewell whenever I'm leaving. To all of you, the participants, I owe a great debt of thanks and appreciation. I, as a faqir, as a gharib, have no right to speak about Abu Abdullah, the greatness of Abu Abdullah, the greatness of the Ahlul Bayt. It is all of your kindness that you gave this faqir a chance to come and share a few thoughts, to share a few words. And inshallah, hopefully I will leave here correcting myself before I can ask anybody else to do the same. But inshallah, to all of you, I am grateful and I am indebted. Haj Ahmad, may Allah bless you. Please do convey my salams and appreciation, as tonight is the last night. The other thing that I wanted to thank you and the Mu'mineen for was your cooperation. Because of your ability and cooperation and flexibility, the Mu'mineen, which is a very small community in Fredericton, New Brunswick, for the first time in the Shia community's history there, they were able to have live online lectures. They used to only listen to recorded or pre-recorded majalis, and because of your cooperation and coordination, and Haj Yusuf allowing me, and of course Brother Mahmoud over there, who makes sure that I'm always on my toes, having met him many times in Brampton and Mississauga. But because of you all, they have, for the first time, were able to have some live discussions and lectures, and inshallah tomorrow when I am helping them and participating with them in the on the day of Ashura and Shamil Ghariba, inshallah a great part of that ajr will go to all of you. And Sayyid, who is my dear elder and of course teacher as well, to you I also extend my thanks. One salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. In tashkurun nas tashkurullah. We have to appreciate each other and for everything that all of you have done, because otherwise I would be failing my duty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In fact, I regularly fail in my duty to Allah. It is only the rahmaniyat and the rahimiyat of the Almighty that inshallah He will be able to accept and forgive me for all of my shortcomings and my misdeeds. We have wanted to cover two things that I had mentioned in yesterday's discussion. One is why I selected this ayat of kulla asalukum alayhi ajran illa al-muwaddata fil qurba. And the second is what should we be doing right now in preparing for the one who will take the revenge and who will avenge the blood of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, and that is our Imam Hujjah Sahib al-Amri wal-Akhir al-Zaman ajjalallahu ta'ala. These are the two things inshallah we want to cover with the extra time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through all of your grace have given me, inshallah. The ayah, as I said, is a response. The people towards the latter part of the Nabuwwat of the Holy Prophet came to the messenger and said, you showed us Islam, you taught us about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you saved us from the fire of hell. Ya Rasulullah, you showed us how to achieve and attain the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You guided us, you gave your blood, you gave your tears, you gave your toil, you did everything you could. Ya Rasulullah, we want to give you something. We want to appreciate you. We want to give you a gift. What can we give you? Now here, it's very interesting because it is showing that the people, number one, appreciated what the Prophet had done. The tabligh that he had done, the fact that he had taught them what is the pleasure of Allah, how to attain the pleasure of Allah, the message of salat, the message of Sawm, the message of Hajj and zakat, and the message of ziyarah, and the message of giving khums, and the message of Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar. All of these messages were conveyed by the Holy Prophet, the reminder of the Day of Judgment. Everything was narrated. The Prophet, with his efforts, taught the Ummah. Now, they want to respond, they want to reply, they want to maybe not repay, but they want to give some gift. Now, remember one thing. This is Rasulullah. What can you give to a prophet? What can you give to a person? What can you give to this Nabi for whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the night of Mi'raj says, Ya Habib, oh my beloved, oh my messenger, oh my Muhammad, you are my guest. I am the host. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the host. Allah is telling his Habib, anything you want, I'm willing to give you. Imagine Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, the creator of the heavens and the earth, who has an unlimited treasure box. He's saying, Muhammad, what do you want? Take from it. The Prophet says, I want nothing except the safety of my ummah. So if Allah Jalla Jalaluhu is giving and offering anything to Muhammad, what do you think the Prophet would want from the community, from the ummah? What can we give the ummah? But you see here, there's a very important message here. There's a lesson here. A lot of times we get invited to somebody's house or a community member's residence, or they say that we want to treat you to a restaurant or something. So if you're going to somebody's house and you're going to one of your friends, one of the community members, he wants to invite you over, sometimes we have a habit, and oftentimes, I'm sure all of you do have that inshallah you will ask your host, what can I bring? Can I bring the salad? Can I bring the drinks, the soft drinks? Can I bring the dessert? And depending on how your relationship is with that person, he will say, no, just bring yourself. Just bring your appetite. Just bring your appetite and that'll be enough. I don't need anything else. I've got everything else under control. If it's somebody close to you, he might say, yeah, okay, you know what, just bring some juice, bring this. Because, of course, we're not going to bring Coke or Pepsi because we're inshallah, on boycott, right? Everybody is understanding that at least whatever little bit we can do to support economically our own brothers and sisters who are suffering, let us make sure we do that. Let us make sure we understand our responsibilities to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and also to the earth. Make sure, I've noticed that not as much, importance is given to recycling or the green bin organic. I encourage you, I advise you, I suggest as a simple brother in Islam, please give a little more attention, because the earth is also an accountability that we all have to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How well we took care of it, what we did for it, what we did for those who are around us. Did we, prevent ourselves from having that ice cream cone from the Golden M that, might be supporting somebody that we are not really happy with right now. So remember, we have an obligation, whatever we can do, whatever little bit we can do, because we live in a community, in an environment where the dollar talks. And where you spend your dollar and dollars makes a difference as to who you are encouraging and supporting and who will hear your voice through your spending habits. Okay, so the people said we want to give something, and we sort of have a habit to say that, okay, what should I bring? Should I bring that? What should I bring? And a lot of times they'll say, okay, you know what? Yeah, all right, bring this. Now, that person doesn't need it. That person doesn't need the juice. He doesn't need the baklava or the kanafa or whatever. He just wants to make you happy. All right, you know what? I don't need it, but if you want to bring it, if you want to show your akhlaq, you want to show your manners, you bring it. So now Rasulullah is telling the people. Now think for a moment, if you look at the Quran Majid, other prophets were also asked that we want to give you a reward, we want to give you a gift, we want to give you something. Obviously the prophets don't need any cash, they don't need any hadiyah, they don't need any all that. But all the other prophets, and the Quran Majid quotes them, La as'alukum alayhi ajra, ajri lillahi rabbil alameen. I don't want anything from you, my reward, ajri lillahi rabbil alameen. My reward rests with the Lord of the universe. So a group of these Muslims thought that perhaps the Prophet will also say the same thing, I don't want anything at all. We want to give something, but the Prophet will say, no, it's okay. So we can say, okay, ma salam, fi amanillah, khuda hafiz, let's go, we don't have to worry about it. So the ayah came different for the Holy Prophet. It came very differently. Kulla as'alukum alayhi ajran. Say to them, O Muhammad, reply to them. Now this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking. He says, O Muhammad, tell them, I don't want any reward from you. La as'alukum alayhi ajran. But if you want to show your manners, you want to show your akhlaq, you want to try and do something for Rasulullah, no problem. We don't need anything material. As'alukum alayhi ajran illa al-muwaddata fil qurba. If you want to give something, be good to my family. Love my family. Obey my family. Do muwadda to my family. Salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses a very distinct word, and mashallah, the Arabic speaking community will be able to appreciate and understand this in a way that perhaps I will not and I cannot. There are two words that are very synonymous. One is muhabba, one is muwaddah. And the science of the Arabic grammatics and the translation, both of them when they go into English gets translated as love, except that you love my Ahlul Bayt. Illa al-muwaddata fil qurba. If it was muhabba lil qurba, the translation would have been the same. Muwadda fil qurba, the translation is the same. What is the meaning? What is the difference? How can we explain to somebody who is learning Arabic and reads this and translates it into love? A very interesting example can be given. When somebody reaches marriageable age, inshallah, and whether it's your parents helping, whether you find somebody yourself or whatever the case is, I didn't have time to go into spouse selection. I didn't have time to go into, youth issues and that. And again, I ask you for forgiveness. But you've got, let's say somehow you met Madam so-and-so, or the Miss met Mr. so-and-so. And now you've decided the parents are happy, everybody's happy, and the two of you are getting along. And now, let's say her birthday is coming, or his birthday is coming, or another event is coming, a dinner is going to be happening with the family members. Now what happens at that time, what happens on that day of the birthday or before that, you will want to give a gift. You will be thinking of what to get, and the thought process begins a month before, 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before. You will want to know what he likes so you can get him a gift. What kind of perfumes he likes, what kind of outfits he likes, what kind of socks colors he might like, what he enjoy, what is she thinking, what will she like, what perfumes will she, does she like flowers, does she like roses? All of this homework has to be done ahead of time. And so when you're going to the shopping center and you're thinking, what will they like, not what you like, because whenever I'm doing something for my parents or for my children, I'll buy the cake that I like. I'm a chocolate fan. If it wasn't for diabetes, I could finish a whole cake. I like these sweets. I like those sweets. I am not one for baklava so much. Sorry about that. I apologize to all of you. But kanafa, mashallah, that was really good. That was there. But these are different things that perhaps might. But now that I have a significant other, I don't care about what I like. What does she like is going to be foremost in my mind. Not in the back burner, but in the front burner. You understand the difference, huh? Everything that I do will be thinking, how will be she happy? What will make her happy? And likewise, she will be thinking, what will he enjoy? If I wear this, will he be happy? Will he like this if I wear this at the dinner? And so all of a sudden, the whole focus is no longer on me, it's on her. And her whole focus is no longer me, it is he. You understand? So whatever I want is irrelevant. Now this is the difference, because when you love your parents, when you love your children, this can comfortably translate it into muhabba. Muhabba also means love, but a different kind of love. When you give up your whole essence and you do whatever she likes or she does whatever you like, that reaches a higher level, whereby in the Arabic context you would say mawadda, not muhabba. It transcends muhabba, goes into mawadda. That means you only think about them. The Prophet said, when you think about my Ahlul Bayt, when you're living my family, when the Quran tells you, La as'alukum alayhi ajran illa al-muwaddata fil kubra, that means that your whole focus, your whole life focus will be on what Ahlul Bayt will want, what those who are Qareeb, who are the near ones to the Holy Prophet, what they will want, no longer what we want. Salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. So our wishes, our desires, our loves, what we like, what I like, what me wants, what my favorite is, becomes irrelevant. Whatever Muhammad and Ali Muhammad want, that is enough for me. Kulla asalukum alayhi. Remember, you asked. You asked to give something to the Holy Prophet. He didn't ask you for anything. You want to show your akhlaq. I want to show my akhlaq. I want to show my manners for what the Prophet had done. Then the Prophet says, follow, love, and think about what will make them happy at every turning. And then the Prophet says that this is going to be an ajr that you can give me by following them, obeying them, not harming them, not hurting them, loving them to a point whereby you give up whatever your conveniences are, even if you become uncomfortable. And when we look at history, the true followers of the Imam, the true followers, the true companions, they gave up whatever they wanted, they gave up whatever they had for the pleasure of the Imam. This is what we've been remembering in Karbala. This is where we need to ask ourselves, are we willing to give such a gift to the Holy Prophet, which the Quran says, that give up yourself, your own desires and everything that you have got, sacrifice it, because you are now getting ready for the Imam. Are we prepared to do that? Are we ready to alter our lives, make our lives, mold our lives for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever the Imam advises us or informs us or orders us? Are we ready to do that? This is where, in today's discussion, we'll be doing a very critical analysis of ourselves. I'll do it of myself, inshallah. That today, am I ready to sacrifice? Because a lot of times, what we have in our hearts and minds is that we want to try to manipulate the Sharia, we want to try to manipulate the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to suit our needs, to suit my needs. I want to change the Sharia so that I will do something wrong, but I will have some sort of a lot of times when I'm talking about something, and let's say I'm discussing X, Y, and Z with Hajj Ahmad, and all of a sudden he tells me, Brother Shafeeq, Sheikh Shafeeq, you shouldn't be doing ghibah, you shouldn't be backbiting. What is my immediate response? Oh, but I'm not backbiting. I would have told him on his face. You've heard people say that? I would have told him on his face. I would have said that to her if she was in front of me. Now, what I have done, first of all, I've done ghibah, I've done backbiting. I have put myself in a sin and I've put him in a sin as well, until he tells me to shut up, inshallah, which I'm sure he will, I hope he will. And on top of that, now the serious sin, the more serious sin, is that I've tried to hide the sin behind a curtain. I said, but I'm not doing ghibah, I'm not backbiting. I would have told him on his face, well then, your job is to tell me, well then go tell him on his face. Why are you telling me? Why are you telling me? So we try to manipulate the Sharia to suit our needs. When we steal something, when we take something, I take some paper from my office, or my break is 15 minutes, and I take 25 minutes. 10 minutes, you know what, I work hard enough for them anyways. Wow, what difference does it make if I take 10 minutes extra? Hey Baba, that 10 minutes is ghasbi. That 10 minutes is haram. You have taken the haqq of your employer. Oh, but I was doing my salah. You see how we You know, we try to manipulate the Sharia. So if the Sheikh tells you that, you know, that 10 minutes is haram, it's ghasbi, your salah may not even, no, but I was doing salah at that time. Of course Allah is going to accept it. Really? Which Allah are you believing in? Which Allah are you believing in? Because the Rabbul Izzat wal Jalal, the Rabb of Rasulullah, the Rabb of the Quran, says that everything has an accountability and an answerability. Since when do you have the right to say, okay, I'll take 10 minutes extra and I'm going to do my salat in that break, I've given 15 minutes, I'm taking 25. Who are you believing? Who are you worshipping? What is the status of that salah if you don't have permission to do that? What is the status of that one piece of paper that you have stolen from your workplace, or that staple that you have taken without permission, or the photocopier you've used? What is the status of that? Have you thought about it? When we go out, and again, I'm sure that inshallah the organizers have made some arrangement, but I decide that I'm going to take one when I leave after my lecture, and then when I'll come back after salat, then I'll get I get two, right? Two bonuses. Now this is the Tabarak of Abu Abdullah. What if because of me taking two, somebody else didn't get it? Who's answerable for that? Who's accountable for that? You see, a lot of times we don't think, and we think, oh, but you know, I was extra hungry. Oh, I'm giving lectures, I deserve to, don't I? Where did this come from, Baba? Where are you getting this? Why are you making your own Sharia? Why are you making your own Sharia? Why are you making your own Haram? Remember what I had told at the time of Adam, when we were discussing Adam, remember a few nights ago? More than a few nights ago. I hope your memory is still fresh, I hope, inshallah. Because after today I'll be gone, but inshallah I hope the message remains bi'idhnillah. That shaitan told Allah, I will worship you like none has ever worshipped. Just give me let me not do this. Allah Ta'ala says, worship me the way I want to be worshipped, not the way you want to worship me. Don't trust and don't twist the Sharia to suit yours and my need. The Sharia of Allah is the Sharia of Allah. The Imam will be the interpreter of that Sharia. And that is why we are told that one of the first groups who will be punished by the Imam, Allahu Akbar. A lot of times people tell me, Shaykh, be careful what you say on the minbar. Be careful. You're going to put yourself in a hole. Yes, I know that. I am putting myself in a hole. One of the first groups that the Imam's sword will go on are not the kuffar, not the mushrikeen, not the others. It will be the Shi'as, and it will be some of the ulama as well. Because they gave wrong messages. They did not guide people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they guided people towards their own desires. They will be the first to be taken out by the Imam. The cleaning will begin in the house, my brothers and sisters. The house will be cleaned first when the Imam returns. Outsiders will be later on. The home will be cleaned first. Whether it's a scholar, whether it's an ordinary person, because we have a habit of wanting to do things our way. We can't change, we don't want to change. We can change, but we don't want to. And the Imam will be looking for that. When you look at the early history of Islam, do you know there was a group of people who were religious people who had migrated to the city of Medina from throughout the western part of west of Arabia. Do you know which group this was? The group of the Yahud. The Jews were told by their rabbis and by their religious and spiritual leaders that the last Hujjah of Allah, the last representative, the last prophet of Allah will come. He will be settling and he will have his government in the area that is known as Yathrib. What we would call Yathrib, was called Yathrib at the time. And the Wada, the valleys, and they will be there. That is why, that was one of the reasons why the Jews had gathered there in phenomenally large numbers. Do you know the history of Khaybar? Why was Khaybar Khaybar? Do you know how much wealth was in Khaybar? If I was to tell you, we only talk about Khaybar when we talk about Amirul Mu'mineen taking the Bab Khaybar out. We only talk about Khaybar when we talk about the success of the Prophet. What in actuality was Khaybar? Khaybar was a fort. A fort that had a phenomenal amount of two things in it. Number one was money. It had so much money. Have any of you heard of Fort Knox? United States? One of the most heavily guarded places, I can say on earth, not just in the United States. What does Fort Knox have? Why is it so heavily guarded? Money is very close. Something more important than money. Ahsan, Jazakumullah khair. May Allah bless you all. Well, you know, so you're participating in the examination, so I will end my lecture, inshallah, on time. Salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Muhammadu Ali. It has gold in it, which is of course more valuable than money, because the money that you have in your pocket, if you have any money in your pocket, those dollar bills, those $10, $5, what does it say? The bearer promises to pay this amount. It is that money is in your pocket because the government of Canada has sufficient gold bars to sustain that. To basically, if everybody was to cash in their money, the government of Canada is supposed to have enough gold to make sure nobody goes bankrupt. That's why some countries' currencies devalue, because they've run out of gold reserves or whatever. I don't want to get into economics right now, but you understand what I'm trying to say. Khaybar was like the Fort Knox for the Jews at that time. Because why? They had two things I said. I should have said three. One was the money. The second, let me give you an example of how much money was in Khaybar. When the fort of Khaybar was taken, when Khaybar was overcome and it came into the hand of the Muslims, it was narrated that every sahabi who had taken part, who was there at the time of Khaybar, received, their anfal, right? The war spoils. Do you know how much they had received? It was so much that there were some companions of the Holy Prophet who were so poor that they could not even afford dates. Khurma, tamar, dates. They could not afford dates. There were some companions who were so poor, they could not afford dates. When the anfal of Khaybar was distributed, those companions who didn't have enough money, because dates is one of the cheapest things in the Arabian Peninsula, you know that. And when people bring you dates, it's the barakah. When they come back from Hajj, they come back from Umrah, they always give us tamar, right? It is a barakah. Not because it's cheap, because it's a blessing, okay? They were saying that these companions who were so poor, when anfal was distributed of Khaybar, 3 generations did not need to work. That's how much money that one companion received. You can multiply that by thousands and thousands. That's how much money was in Khaybar. Number 2, the armaments. There were so many weapons in Khaybar. Swords, spears, arrows, bows, whatever was imaginable and not imaginable was in Khaybar. That again, when this was distributed, those who had not even seen these arms, they all got 2 or 3 armaments. The third was their shabab, their youngsters, their youths, fighters. Why were they there? Why were they in Khaybar? The reason was their rabbis, their priests, their religious leaders had told them that the last messenger will come and he'll be here. He'll be coming here and his movement will be there. In that area, in that wada, in that valley, in what was known as Yathrib at the time. When that last Rasul comes, don't expect him to do the fundraising. You will have to keep the money ready. They did. Don't expect him to now look for arms or where do we get the weapons from. It's ready. And don't expect him to say, okay, please join, please join, please join. Get the army ready. The army was also ready. Salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Do I have your attention? Inshallah. They had kept everything ready. And then what happened? When the Rasul came, when the Prophet came, they became the most vehement opponents of Rasulullah. They used those same weapons that they were supposed to keep for the Prophet against the Prophet. And that's why the Battle of Khaybar took place. Why? Because when they saw Rasulullah, when they saw Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they said, wait a minute, this doesn't fit our picture. This doesn't fit what we were expecting. Or I will say it in a different terminology. He is not what we wanted him to be. La ilaha illallah. Now, the reason why I brought this all out to you, my sisters and my brothers, it has been narrated from the Aimma, including Amirul Mu'mineen, that the similarities of Rasulullah's beginning and the movement will reflect that of Imam Sahibul Umar when the Imam returns. Because the same people who will be claiming that we are getting ready for the Imam will be the same people who will oppose the Imam. Wait a minute, this is not what we were expecting, Mawla. My first question to me and the Ummah, Ayyuhal Muslimun, Ayyuhal Shia, you are claiming to be the Shia of Imam. You are claiming to be the followers. Have we kept our money ready for the Imam? Have we kept our soldiers ready for the Imam? What arrangements have we made that if the Imam would come tomorrow, that we can say, Labbaik ya Mawla, Labbaik ya Imam, Labbaik ya Mahdi. What have we done? Oh, when the Imam goes, let's now start some fundraising. Now let's start getting things ready. I will, when the Mawla's movement comes, I will have to go to him and say, Mawla, sorry, I can't join your army right now. I've got about 2 years of qaza salat. My salat hasn't been up to date. A couple of Ramadans, I skipped the fasting. Oh, my khums, Mawla, my khums is not up to date. I've kept that person's haq. I've kept that person's, I owe him some money. I had the money, but I just haven't paid it. Mawla, give me a couple of days. Let me sort all the... See that? Mawla, give me a couple of days. I need to sort out my affairs, then I'll join you. By that time, it's too late. The train will have left the station, my sisters and brothers. Today, I need to ask myself how ready I am if the Imam was to come tomorrow. How ready am I? How prepared am I? Because remember, unlike the CIF, the Canadian Armed Forces, unlike the USAF, the United States Armed Forces, whereby they want to know how strong you are, what is your agility, how fast can you run, how much can you climb, what are the obstacles you can overcome, what is your ability to swim, what is your ability to fight, how heavy of a gun can you hold. All of that is what the Canadian Armed Forces will expect from you. Imam-e-Zamana's armed forces will be different. The first and foremost condition will be how much taqwa and iman do you and I have. Then we will get entrance into the Imam's army. Everything else will come later. First will be our iman and our taqwa. Am I ready? Have I fulfilled everybody's rights that I was supposed to? Have I cheated or lied to anybody? Have I done somebody's ghibah that I'll have to apologize to them? What all will I have to do? How many of my salats I will have to make up before the Imam will say, okay, now Shafeeq, you can enter the army. We're not ready. We're not prepared. And that's why it said that the first opponents of the Imam will be the Shia who are pretending to be waiting for the Imam. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi. What can I say? You might find today's discussion very difficult and very bitter. And I'm not going to apologize and I'm not going to ask for forgiveness. The reason is I'm giving myself this bitter medicine so that inshallah maybe I will improve, inshallah. Maybe I will, after I leave tonight, try to make myself better, try to make sure that I am ready for the Imam, that the Imam will welcome me in his army. I won't have to run and say, Mawla, please take me. The Imam will say, you, come here. I want you in my army. Salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Wouldn't that be nice when the Imam says, yes, I want you in the army. Come. That is the status we want our amal and actions. There was a beautiful teacher, a speaker once, he said, we are told that just prior to the advent of the Imam will want 313. You know the 313, right? The 313. This speaker mentions, he says that Mawla doesn't want 313 Muslims. He wants 313 Salmans, 313 Abu Dhars, 313 Miqdads. And if I was to go a little later, 313 Malik Ashtars. Because even 10,000 Shafiqs will be nothing at all. The Imam wants a warrior base that will be based on taqwa and iman. Iman and taqwa that will be unshakable. That the mountains will move from their places, but they will not have iman and taqwa leave from their hearts. You see what the Imam wants? This is what the Imam wants for his army, needs for his army, and inshallah will have for his army for those first 313. And of course, this is the first group. Then there will be 10,000, and then another 10,000, and another 10,000, no problem. We still have a chance, inshallah. We still have a chance. But the training ground is from now. The training ground is the beginning that we have to set our lives for now. We have to come to the realization that are we ready? Are we preparing ourselves? Is every day we are thinking of the Imam and saying, what will the Imam be pleased with in my actions? What is the Imam displeased with? Whatever the Imam is displeased with, I'll try and take that out. Whatever the Imam is pleased with, I'll do that more, inshallah. That is our foremost obligation and responsibility today in this era known as Zamana-e-Ghaiba, the era of the Imam's occultation. This is the period of Ghaiba that we have got to do intidhar. Afdalul Qala Rasulullah, Afdalul Ibadah, intidharul Faraj. Another narration of this hadith is Afdalul Ibadah, intidharul Faraj. Another one is Afdalul A'mal, intidharul Faraj. The most important duty or the most important action that we can do in this era, the Prophet said, is intidharul Faraj. The intidhar. In, again, English terminology, intidhar gets translated into waiting. To do intidhar, you're waiting for somebody, you're waiting for something. There are two types of intidhar. One is called the passive intidhar. One is the active intidhar. The passive intidhar is, okay, Imam is coming, we're going to wait, sit down, just fold our hands, inshallah we'll come. Today, I was about 6 minutes late. I'm sorry for that. Afwan, astaghfirullah. Now, in those 6 minutes, because of some closures and construction and that, what did the rest of us do? We had the recitation of the Latmiyah, mashallah. Excellent. You made sure that the time was not wasted. People were not just sitting here doing nothing. You had the remembrance of Abu Abdullah. You had the Latmiyah going on. You had the recitation of the poetry. We made sure that that time, that 6 minutes was not wasted 6 minutes. And so that is known as active intidhar. We are preparing so that when he comes in, we will start the Quran and we will start the lecture right away. The passive intizar is not what the Prophet is talking about. The active intizar is what the Prophet is talking about. Afzalul ibadah intizarul faraj, afzalul a'mal intizarul faraj. One salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Preparing ourselves. How do we do this? There are various stages. All of us sitting here have recited du'as for the return of Mawla quickly. Al-ajal, al-ajal, ya sahib al-zaman. We've done that. We recite du'as. Allahumma kun li waliyik al-hujjat ibn al-Hasan. We recite that du'a. We are regularly reciting various supplications and prayers for the sake of the Imam's quick return, which is of course a duty as well. But that duty or those words need to be translated into actions as well. The duty gets translated into actions as well. Now, we say that, but what do we really mean when we're saying al-ajal? Have we thought about what will be transpiring when the Imam does return? What will be the state of affairs when the Imam returns? A lot of times it happens. It happened to me actually just a couple of weeks before Muharram started. There was a family who invited me for an aqd, for a marriage. And often it happens to not only me, but I'm sure other ulama, others, I'm just a student, so sometimes they even call us students as well. And oftentimes we get an invitation from parents, oh, my daughter's about to get married, but Sheikh, I know you're really busy. I know you're really busy, so if you can't come, we understand. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be on this date in July, it was this date in June. But we know that sometimes you're in Iran, sometimes you're in Beirut, sometimes you're in Ottawa, sometimes you're here and there. So don't worry, but just pray for them, please. I said, okay, I'll pray for them. But this is the date. Thank you very much. So we've got a filter in our ears and in our minds, right? We know that this aqd, this marriage, is going to have its haram and its halal, right? There'll be things that they know that I'm not going to be comfortable with. There's going to be music, there's going to be dancing, there's going to be this haram, that haram, and they claim to be Shia. Khair, no problem. We know that they really don't want us there. And then there'll be another family. They'll call me, they'll come to my office, and they'll come to the Husainiya, because my office is in the Husainiya, and they'll say, Sheikh, when are you free from now until December. What date are you free? Give me one date. I said, what? So yeah, my son wants to get married and he wants you to do the aqd, to do the marriage ceremony, the nikah ceremony. Okay? I look at my timetable. I say, okay, this date in September is free. Okay, mark it in. Confirmed. They will put the whole timetable and say, whatever you decide, we will agree to that. The first family is telling me basically, we really don't want you. If you come, we might be uncomfortable. We really don't want you there, okay? And so we have to understand. So even if on that day, even if I'm sitting home doing nothing at all, I'm still not going to go to that wedding because I know they really don't want me there. But if people ask them, did you invite Brother Shafeeq? Oh yeah, I invited him. I told him. You see? And the second family, genuine. They know that even, come hell or high water, I will make sure I'm at that no matter what, unless I have died or something. And so what we see is that when we are thinking about Dhuhur Imam, and we're saying, Al-Ajal, Ya Mawla, Ya Sahib Zaman, we know that when the Imam returns, haram is out the window. If I'm selling lottery tickets, If I'm selling alcohol, no. If I'm selling any of those haram things, no. If I'm doing haram, if I'm missing my Salatul Fajr, no. If I am cheating or lying or defrauding and my business is based on any of those haram items that the Prophet told us, no. Because today, if I don't like Canada's laws, I can move to Australia. If I don't like Australia, I move to Europe. If I don't like Europe, I move to Africa. If I don't like Africa, I move to Japan. You can go anywhere you want. When the Imam returns, and the government of the Imam is there, the government of the Imam will not be subject to any geographic borders or boundaries. The Imam's authority will be everywhere. I will have to do my wajibat and refrain from my muharramat and from the haram things. So I will have no choice but to adhere to the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if I decide to go to the moon, as some of these rich people are talking about, let's settle on the moon or let's have some life on Mars. Even the authority of the Imam will be on the moon and on Mars as well. One salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. So what I wanted to conclude with was that sometimes in our hearts we're saying, Al-Ajal Ya Mawla, Mawla come quickly, Mawla please, we are ready, we're coming. But in our hearts, we're not ready to do all of this wajib. We're not ready. It's like that family that, if you can't come, don't worry. Mawla, you've been in Ghaiba for 1250 years, a couple more years until I'm gone, then you come. Because I don't want this. I can't do all these wajibats. I can't do all of these obligations. I cannot refrain from all of this haram, all these forbidden things. Did we change or do we expect the Sharia to change? This is what I said from the beginning of today's lecture. Are we ready to change? Or are we just saying it with our words, Al-Ajal, Al-Ajal, Ya Sahib Zaman? In our heart we're saying, wait a minute, we're not ready yet. If Mawla comes, I'm going to be in hot soup. If we were in Karbala, which side would we have been on? Because on the one side, there was music, there was girls, there was dancing, there was food, there was all kinds of drinks and food and things on that side. And on this side, you had recitation of the Quran, you've got tilawat, you've got hunger, you've got thirst, you've got difficulties, you've got suffering. Which side would I have been on? Where would I have been? This is a question only I can answer with my Allah, and only you can answer with your Allah. Which side would I have been on? I love my food. Would I have tolerated hunger? I love my juice. Would I have tolerated the thirst in Karbala? I love my haram. Would I have gone to where the music was? Or will I say, Mawla, I'm with you? Because when Imam Sahibul Amr comes, that's what the test will be. That's what the test will be. There will be hunger at that time. Don't forget that. When the Imam returns, there will be war. There will be famine. There will be hunger. There will be thirst. Dajjal will have food. Dajjal will have dancing girls. Dajjal will have water. Dajjal will have the top quality juices and the best drinks and the best music, the top 40 hits. Everything will be with Dajjal. The Imam will have nothing except the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the training ground that Karbala already taught us. Where will we be? Because where we would have been in Karbala is where we'll be when Imam Sahibul Amr returns as well, inshaAllah, bi-idhnillah. It's a very serious test and a very serious question. My sisters and brothers, my youngsters, my elders. A few duties I just want to close with before I come to the Masaib of Ashura. And that is that when you are serious about remembering the Imam, when you're serious about praying for the Imam, every day remember him. Every morning, my children, my dear daughters, my sons who are here, I'm addressing you because when you start the revolution, your parents and your siblings will follow, inshallah. I'm addressing all of my youngsters who are here. Every morning when you go to sleep, when you wake up in the morning, say salam to the Imam. Assalamu alayka ya Imam al-Hujjah. When you go to sleep at night, say good night to the Imam. Assalamu alaykum ya Mawla ya Hujjatullah. Do that every day. Then you will have the increase of the love of the Imam, and you'll be thinking about what you did that whole day to please the Imam, inshaAllah, bi'idhnillah. When you sit down on the table, if there's 4 of you in the family, and you've kept 4 plates, 4 spoons and forks and knives, keep a 5th one. This is for my Mawla. This is for Imam al-Hujjah. Keep a 5th one. If there's 5 of you in the family, keep a 6th one. If you have to make a small table on the side or make extra room, just make, spread yourselves out, do that. But don't forget the Imam. Give sadaqah for the safety of the Imam every day. One of the reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put Imam al-Hujjah in ghaibah is because of the danger that was there for the Imam. My dear sisters and brothers, if you think I'm joking, today, our ulama, our maraja, the wali faqih, those who are serving, who are our mujtahideen, the maraja, they have been threatened by world powers. They have been told, we are going to assassinate you, we're going to kill you. This is the wakil, this is the naib, this is the representative of Imam al-Hujjah. If they're threatening to kill the representative of the Imam, imagine what they will do to the Imam. Imagine what they will do to the Imam. If the wakil, the naib, the wali is threatened, they will not hesitate to kill the Imam. That's why the Imam, Allah Ta'ala put him into occultation. Keep a desk, a moment for the Imam. Give sadaqah in his behalf. The way you give sadaqah for anybody, do this for the safety of the Imam. Not that the Imam needs it, but it will keep our bond with the Imam. Ya Allah, I am giving this sadaqah, 10 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents, even 5 cents. Doesn't matter the amount doesn't matter. Mawla, Ya Allah, this is a sadaqah I'm taking for the hifazat, for the safety of Imam Sahibul Amr. We know there's lots of danger for the Imam. On the day of Friday, there's a beautiful ziyarah. Assalamu alayka ya hujjatullahi fi ardi. Assalamu alayka ya aynallahi fi khalqi. Assalamu alayka ya nurallahi alladhi yahtahi bihi muhtadun wa yufarriju bihi anil mu'minin. Recite that ziyarah after Salatul Asr. Keep the bond with the Imam on a daily basis. This is the least we can do for our awaited Imam as our tribute to our Shaheed Imam Abu Abdullah. Tonight, we are remembering the tragedy that the Imam went through. Nobody was spared on the plains of Karbala. Nobody was left alone. The Imam's final call to Hal min nasirin yansurna. Is there anybody to help me? I will ask my Mawla. I will ask my Imam, Ya Mawla, Ya Ibn Rasulullah. Everybody has been shaheed. Everybody has been martyred. Why are you now asking for help, Mawla? Why are you now asking? The Imam's reply will be that I am not asking for help for anybody to come and help me materialistically or for somebody to come militarily and help me. I am asking for help. Hal min nasirin yansurna means, is there somebody to help the cause for which I have come to Karbala? A man goes to Imam Zainul Abidin. A man goes to Imam Sayyid al-Sajjad. He says, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, you went to Karbala with your family. Your father was martyred on the plains of Karbala. Your uncle Abbas and everybody was killed. Your brother Ali Akbar and Ali Asghar were killed. Radhi Abdullah was killed. All of them were killed. Did you succeed in Karbala? La ilaha illallah. Imagine the Imam being asked this question. The Imam tells this man, he tells the questioner, go recite rakatain, go recite salah, rakatain salah. The man finishes his 2 rakat salah, he comes back. Mawla, what was the purpose of that? The Imam replies, your salat was your answer. We went to Karbala to protect the salah. We went to Karbala to protect Islam. The fact that you're praying today means we have succeeded in Karbala. The Imam's message is what he is calling for. The Imam was crying for help for somebody, a community, to take the message to the next level. When the Imam calls out, he hears some crying in the tent. He hears some cries in the tent of Rabab. He goes into this tent, and what does he see? Rabab is holding the baby. Abdullah Radhi, also known as Ali Asghar, is almost ready to faint. The thirst can be seen on his face. The dry lips were calling out. Imam asks, what has transpired? And Rabab says that as soon as you had said, Hal min nasirin yansuruna, when you had called out, is there somebody to stand? Is there somebody to help me? Ali Asghar Abdullah threw himself down from the cradle. He rolled from the cradle down. I had to go and carry him. It seems like he also wants to help you, Mawla. The thirst and the hunger on his face is something that is unbearable. Imam says, I will take him to the battlefield. I will ask them for water. Maybe they will understand that maybe they've got a problem with me, they've got an issue with me. But a child is a child. A child is infallible. A child is considered masoom under any sharia and any peoples. They will at least give water to this child. And he takes Abdullah, he takes Radhi, he takes young Ali Asghar to the battlefield. But he has covered him because the scorching sun is very hot. The scorching sun is pelting on the plains of Karbala. The Imam takes his Abba and he covers Ali Abdullah. He covers Ali Asghar and he goes to the battlefield. When the army of Umar Asad see Hussein alayhi salam bringing something, they thought that now he will bring the Quran. Maybe he wants to do some peace with the Quran. He wants to do some compromise with the Quran and Majid. When the Imam removes the Abba, the people realize, the army of Umar Asad realize that this is none other than Abdullah Radhi Ali Asghar, the son, the young baby of Abu Abdullah. The Imam calls out and says, I know you have issues with me. I will not do bayat. You understand that a child is ma'soom, is infallible, is innocent, regardless of what your back. Regardless of your background, regardless of who you are. A child is a child. Allahu Akbar. Even today, when we see the images of children being killed in so many places, we can only remember the battlefield of Karbala. Whenever we see a young child being killed, my dear sisters and brothers, on the news today, we remember Abdullah Ali Asghar on the plains of Karbala. The Imam sees that there's some movement in the army of Umar Asad alayhi la'an. There's some movement in the army. Some people are debating and discussing that let's just give a few drops of water to the baby. Let's give a few drops of water to the baby. The Imam makes an announcement. La ilaha illallah. Our salutations on our Mawla, Yabna Rasulullah. What does Imam do? He says that if you think that I will drink the water, if you think that I'm going to drink the water, I will put Ali Asghar on the floor, I will put Abdullah on the floor, and on the ground, on the burning ground of Karbala, you can come yourself and feed whatever water you want to feed. This was how the Imams, the compromise of the Imam, Allahu Akbar. Again, there is some movement. And then finally, the Imam picks him up again and says, Oh Asghar, oh Abdullah, just show them how thirsty you are. Just show them the level of the thirst. And what do they see? Baby Abdullah, baby Ali Asghar takes out his small dry tongue and he touches the tongue to his lips, and the army sees this. The Imam is also in a shaking position, and they realize that the baby is very, very thirsty. At that time, Umar Asad Mal'un calls Hurmala. Hurmala is called, that cancel, cut down this speech of Hussein, otherwise our army will have a rebellion. Nobody will be able to bear this. What does Hurmala alayhi do? Allahu Akbar. My dear mourners, I'm not sure if I can narrate what happened to Abu Abdullah. What happened to this baby on the plains of Karbala? Hurmala fires one arrow. The one arrow misses. He fires a second arrow. The second arrow misses. And they asked him, Hurmala, you are such an archer that when you fire one arrow, the second arrow can pierce the first one. What happened? He says, whenever I was looking there, it seemed like somebody from the tent was shaking there and wondering if we will give water to my child. Hurmala fires the third arrow. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. The third arrow goes and pierces the baby neck of Abdullah Ali Asghar. The blood of the baby is now on the hands of the Imam. The Imam looks towards the sky as if the blood should go to the sky. The clouds call out. The clouds cry out. The heaven says, Ya Aba Abdullah, O Hussein, if you send that blood here, nothing will ever rain again till the day of Qiyamah. The Imam wants to put some blood on the ground. The ground calls out, nothing will grow if the blood, the innocent blood of Ali Asghar, the innocent blood of Abu Abdullah is placed here, nothing will grow. The Imam takes the blood and puts it on his beard. And he says, I will show my grandfather Rasulullah what they have done. Allahu Akbar. The final time comes when the Imam is about to lay down his life on the plains of Karbala. When the Imam is about to go to the battlefield, after he has said Ma'as-salam, after he has bid farewell to all of the ladies, all of the camp members, he is going towards the battlefield. What does he see? Hazrat Zuljana, the horse cannot go any forward. His faithful, noble horse Zuljana does not go forward. And Imam is talking to Zuljana. He is telling his horse, I know it's been a difficult day. I know it's been a difficult day, Zuljana. I know we've been going back and forth from the battlefield to the Khayyam, the battlefield to the tents. It has been a long day. Zuljana, I promise you, this is the last trip you will have to make. Your wafadari, your loyalty will be noted. Zuljana, this is the last time. Zuljana talks to his master. He talks to his Mawla and says, Mawla, it's not that I'm tired. He makes a sign, look at my legs, look beside my leg, what is there? What does Imam Hussein see? What does Abu Abdullah see? Ruqayya Sakina is holding on to Zuljana. She doesn't have the energy to speak. Oh, she's whispering, is Zuljana, don't take my father to the battlefield. Whoever has gone has not returned. Imam comes down. He comes down from the horse. He embraces Ruqayya and he says something to her ear. He says something in her ear. After that she says, Ma'as-salam, Baba, go to the battlefield. When Imam Zainul Abidin was asked, what did Baba tell? What did Baba tell Ruqayya? That she let him go despite what she was going through. And Imam Zainul Abidin has tears in his eyes and he says, my father told her, oh Ruqayya, you will be the first to meet with me. Very soon we will be reunited. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مِنْقَلِبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Hussein has been martyred on the plains of Karbala. عَلَى قُتِلَ الْحُسَيْنَ بِكَرْبَلَا. Oh Allah, accept this azadari from us. Accept this majlis from us, Ya Allah. Forgive our sins and our shortcomings. Give us the tawfiq to remain on the teachings of the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt, Ya Allah. Those who are ill, grant them shifa kamila from their illnesses. Or those who are suffering dhulm and oppression, hasten the downfall of the oppressors, and grant the Madhlumeen, the Mustazafeen, a speedy victory against the tyrants of the day, Ya Allah. We ask you to protect our ulama, our Amaraja, the Wali Faqih, who are serving while the Imam is in occultation. Grant them a long and healthy life and safety from the difficulties that are around them. Ya Allah, we beg you to return our Mawla Imam al-Hujjah to us. Make us amongst the Ashab and the Ansar of the Imam. Let us see Zamana-i-Dhuhur with our own eyes, and let us be true helpers and helpers of the Imam till the end of our lives. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بالحسين. If we can all recite one Surah Fatiha preceded by a salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Hussein, wa ala ashab al-Hussein. Sheikh Shafeeq, thank you so much on behalf of Masjid Imam Ali, on behalf of the youngsters, the elders, the brothers, the sisters, for this series of insightful lectures and emotional majalis. Inshallah, sometime in the future we'll be seeing you again. Inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We'll be taking a break until 7:30, which will be followed by the Arabic lecture and Majlis. Thank you.